seconds, but by the time this thing processes through, it'll be start time. Well, thank you guys for being here. Thank Bill and Jody for joining me today. I know this has been a work in progress, trying to get our three times to coordinate and coincide on a day. But I think we finally made it happen. Unless Jody has a replica of Bill, I think Bill's finally in the building.
I, I I said the last time I couldn't make it. There was things came up and scheduled, but when I did it, I was saying, hey, get a cardboard cutout and just sit there. And he was gonna say, "What? You're who?"
I'm the real Bill Marino.
Yeah, so he was practicing that line all week. He's then gonna deliver it.
So, yeah, thanks for having me again. I appreciate it. I look forward to it. It was a good time last time.
No, and thank you bringing up the podcast, and it was just something that we just started, so it was great to have some attention.
Yeah, I just what I really like about what your guys' podcast, or what I find so different, is the fact that you guys are together in the same room. I know I've done other collaborations where we do like live streams like that, and it's always like what we're doing now, but there's always something lost when you don't have both or the people in the building.
A few screens. I mean, I watch some live streams, a lot of single person, or a single shot, where there isn't multiple, like you're saying, in one shot, because when it starts breaking into windows, and even two like this, it can get hard. It can be done well in two, but it's hard to really balance it and keep the interest and and it look good. So
I literally have negative experience with this stuff, so for us to be a part, it would be just absolutely impossible. We're making right now, we'll get into like podcast format later, but I just need to be a lot more comfortable than I am.
Yeah, it's
I'm 100%.
I'm learning my way through YouTube with Aqualust, and Jody's totally brand new, and it was a good combination. The two of us, we're two different schools of thought. He comes from his story. If you go back and watch your interview of Jody for Uncle Joe's Fish Head, about how he's keeping shiners, where I got into it because I had a friend that had a fish tank that turned south, brand new, no guidance, and the next thing you know, everybody's dying, and I start looking into it, and the next thing I know, I found aquascaping, and I'm head over heels spending all my money, dumping it in.
The tank he just did here is incredible. Absolutely.
Yeah, so we just scaped the tank here, that 60 breeder from our other video, and that tank Jody decided to put 5 feet above our heads, so I had to scape it on a with a 4-step ladder, and just first time for me ever, and trying to build a design that works for Jody too. It's Uncle Joe's Fish Head. He's got to be able to take pictures of them, but we want to bring some aesthetics to it, and it's something that we are staring at. So I'm looking at it right now, and we're not going to reveal it, because the video is going to hopefully drop this week, which talks about that tank and setting it up and making the tank look good. That Jody's not really artistically inclined for that. So stuff like that.
So you say you're basically the odd couple.
Yeah. Oh, 100%. Yeah. I breed fish.
Why don't we do this a little bit? Because I know some people might know exactly who you guys are and your podcast, but why don't we give them a little bit of background for those that might not be familiar with the project you guys are working on, and that you guys each individually have your own channels. So I don't know which of you guys would want to start and give us a little bit about your background, and so that people can have some information on you.
Right on. Go ahead, Bill.
You want me to do it?
Yeah.
Or kind of like how this ended up being. All right.
Right.
So, all right. So Bill, right, and it started Aqualust a year and a half ago, and really because I watch a lot of YouTube in learning about this, but I'm a master automotive technician. I'm completely self-educated. So gotta learn how it works. I do all high-end electrical. I'm a fine guy, but I get my hands dirty, work diesel trucks. Like, it was built by a man, can be fixed by a man type of mentality. And I always loved learning, taking things apart, fixing them. So I got into fish tanks, from years of racing, and now I'm gonna hot rod my fish tank. So now it's, hard to grow plants and CO2 and everything I can do to, make it go faster. But then I learned about the hobby, have my fish that I like, and going through my journey in the hobby, and basically joined a fish club to meet more people and get more exposure in real life.
Yeah.
And that's when Jody and I met. We're like two years ago or so, and I've been going at Aqualust, on and off for about a year, and has done well. Did some good reviews and stuff, and I'm just kind of sharing my experience. And I want to be able to deliver education to people, and that's really Aqualust's goal, is to aquascape. I would love to do professional aquascaping. Got to learn, got to put my reps in, and build tanks, and do it. And so that's part of it. But I want to share a lot of what I learned about keeping fish and fish tanks and design, and how it could benefit your pets. And so that's what we just did with the 60 breeder. So
yeah, it looks absolutely awesome too.
So now you're up.
He's good at it. So me, I have Uncle Joe's Fish Shed channel. That's brand new, and it's really not just my channel. I guess it's our podcast is on there, the wet floor. We'll add more things onto it later. It's kind of just, I want it to be a collaboration of a lot of good learning information and some fun videos too. I'll also use it to drive my store front, my online fish store, Uncle Joe's Fish Shed, and we'll see where that goes too. Yeah, I've been doing this for quite a while, and I met Bill a couple of years ago, like he said, and I never knew really anything about fish clubs and stuff. And then I just started meeting all kinds of breeders and stuff, and I was like, this is so great. Everyone needs to be able to do this, and so I really strongly promote fish clubs, and I think they're awesome. And we just want to be able to highlight a lot of the people who have a lot of knowledge, and we're going to use this, the wet floor, my social media channel, Uncle Joe's, and whatever else we can to highlight people and breeders and just people who want to share their knowledge. And that's what we're hoping to be able to get out of it.
Yeah, really. a more grassroots approach to the hobby than getting locally grown fish in your fish store. So we're very fortunate. Our local club has a lot of really good fish keepers in it, and they're raising some really beautiful fish. So one of the fish that we just got here at Uncle Joe's Fish Shed, this guy sold to Dan's Fish, and what fish is it?
Corobia.
The Corobia, right? So he's breeding them locally, and they're great fish, and he's trying to get them out to the hobby. So he's a local guy, just breeding for the challenge of it. So we just started in our fish club a breeders award program. So we're just getting certain things going in the structure, but we're trying to bring it the best. I want to bring eventually, just super busy, I want to bring a plant version of the breeders program, so that it just bring knowledge and let everybody share. Nobody knows everything, and my analogy is this: is that, do you know how a light bulb works? And you go, yeah. Can you make one? No. So so I think that with everybody's input around ideas, that we can really come up with things that work. So we just did that video with the Corobia, and so the idea, the kind of the structure we're trying to do with our videos, and as we learn and put it on our reps, was kind of like this. And I and Jody had a conversation. It was, we're going to pick a fish, in this case this one, and we're going to pick a tank, and we're going to pick a question or a challenge. Or so mine was, make your tank look better. So he's got this tank, he set it up, he put it up there, he's got 3 objects in the middle of the tank. And I'm like, it's not aesthetically pleasing, but your brain does that to you when you set up a fish tank. So
my brain goes to, I breed and keep a lot of fish here. So I'm threw a piece of wood in there, because every tank needs a piece of wood, and I threw 2 rocks in there or something. Yeah. And that was good enough for me. And Bill's like, and so workability for me is one thing, but it looks really super good.
And that was part of the challenge that I brought to him, was, I'm going to give you an environment that's going to be good for taking pictures, that's going to work for your needs. That he said, well, these fish breed on rocks, they need a flat, hard surface. So it was a good challenge for me. I had to work all this in. And so we made something. I'm really happy, and just, you'll have to wait about a week and you'll be able to see it, everybody. But it's really something cool to, that's the answer to, try and form and function. And so that we can have both and still breed fish and still have it, aesthetically pleasing to look at. So just another angle to it. It's not a must, but it's like something that maybe could help some people. It's fun. And then, but at the same time, education. So this tank in particular, we have locally the guy who bred those fish. So we're going to do an interview with him. So we kind of bring that to the internet. We bring that to, FishTube.
Yeah, where did your fish come from?
Yeah, where did your fish come from?
Like it's Cobia seem to be pretty hot on the internet right now. They were talking about them on Fishery a couple of times. Dan's Fish had them. He brought them up a couple of times. They're great fish. And just to be able to highlight Anthony, my fish got out of its net. To be able to highlight Anthony and show people where these fish are coming from, and to be able to get small batches and sell them to people boutique kind of style. Whoops, sorry about that, everyone. And just get them out and be able to ship them to people across the country is going to be great.
Yeah.
Know exactly where your fish came from.
Yeah. The idea is a boutique. We're not going to be able to beat out, some major chain. We're not going to beat out, big companies, but maybe he's going to have something that nobody else has. And not in the sense like we're trying to make life hard for ourselves. We want to have fish that find homes. The idea is not they all live here, but at the same time, what do people really want, and can we bring them healthy, quality fish? And then not in big batches. They're going to sell out. Somebody's going to be lucky, and it's kind of the boutique mentality.
No, just a clarification on this. Not all the tanks in the fish room that you at Uncle Joe's are necessarily breeding tanks. You guys have some displays, and what you guys were aquascaping is a display tank, correct?
Yeah.
Well, yes and no. It's display, but it's got fish breeding in it, and the object is that they will breed, and that he will be able to take pictures in the tank of the fish. And that's the idea, is that give him something that he can still work with, an aquascape that's versatile, and that he's got some big stuff, but at the same time, if he needed to move it to catch out, it'd be easy, so it's not a very complex, it's not overly burdened. So, but it came out really good. It's gonna blow people away. And a little teaser, I gave him a valve scenario that I'm 5'8", and I held it up like this, and it's touching the floor.
Oh yeah.
So it's 6 foot long valve and a 60, just coming over the top.
What's
of wood.
Happen here? Actually, what's going to happen here is at some point these fish, they're going to breed. I'm going to grow the fish out in there. These particular fish will grow out fine with their parents. I'll pull the parents out. Then I'm going to need to get those fish because they're going to go up for sale. Now that's going to be a few months. I'm going to get those fish out of there, and then I'm probably going to get the tank redone.
Yeah, and then that's the thing, is that like it doesn't have to be permanent. You can just keep doing it. So and it being a fish shed, we have the means to move things and start up a new tank, and so it's fun. And in this we're doing basically trying education in a couple different things to keep it interesting. It is kind of long form, so it's great. A lot of people watching on TV. So, it's great. Cool. So, that we're really liking it. We have super great reply from our fans, and thank you very much. We appreciate it. And and we've had so many positive reviews, from people coming to us saying they saw it. And like you said, that we're in the same area, and we're super fortunate because I live like 15 minutes away. So it's super easy.
Nothing's 15 minutes away here. Well, it seems like everything's just so far.
Depends how fast
even trying to go to the pet store. Yeah, but I'm saying it is very, very.
And for those that are not aware, where are you guys at?
I'm in Fort Myers. He's in Cape Coral. So there's a river,
Florida.
There's a river.
You guys in Florida,
South
Florida.
Yeah. So that's another reason why I decided to start kind of putting all this stuff together, is because where we are here in Southwest Florida, there's so many quality breeders, and we have such a long season, like all year long here. And there's so many different fish clubs and so many people, biologists and stuff like that, and scientists and people who go out and collect this stuff from the wild, that travel and collect it from the wild, that we just happen to be friends with and stuff. And we just I just really was amazed again at the fish club and being able to learn from so many people. I want to share this with as many people as I can. I think it's awesome, and it's good for the hobby.
Yeah, I think that he's got a great share mentality. A big picture view of Uncle Joe's Fish Shed was that, like, with this video being the first time we're going to do it, is bringing the breeder to the people that bred the fish that we're showing you right now. So really a super personal, about the fish that you're getting and keeping, and not really just, been shipped around 4 different times before it landed on your door, and now it's stressed out and your tank doesn't eat and dies. It's these terrible experiences people have with especially new fish keepers. So we're trying to, make something that works for education purposes so people can make the right decisions, so, a lot of the basics need to be covered. And I think that, like myself, when I had so many questions, there's so much information out there and there's a lot of conflicting information. You got to kind of ask a lot of questions along the way of what you're looking for out of your tank. And there's no one right way. And that's what's great between the two of us. He's got what he wants. He's got 100 tanks. I have 5, and I'm overwhelmed. But I got 5
tanks that are harder to take care of than everything I have. So don't let the amount of tanks fool you. It's absolutely absurd.
Yeah, I'm running. So he's dechlorinating tap, right, and a pumping water in and out, and I'm RODI water. Super technical, but I also don't want to be restricted by the fish I keep and for them to thrive and possibly breed. So I've never really been on the breeding side of it. And for me, dropping the acidity or dropping into low pH for plant reasons, and then bringing fish that work with an aquascape.
So much stuff that I get to learn too doing this. And another reason why I like doing it, and I really want to do it, is it gives me the opportunity to talk to more people. Like, hey, you guys want to talk about this? Let's sit down and shoot a video and maybe come on a podcast when we start doing actual podcast. And everybody's more than willing to help and share their knowledge. So I want to take as much of it as I can, and maybe learn something, and maybe I'll do things differently, and maybe things will go better for me. That's all I can hope, is to learn and just to be around people that want to learn and want to share, and that are just willing to admit that they were wrong too.
I mean, I'm so into the technical side of things, and I'm always thriving for information. So I saw an interview with Tom Barr, and he was in this one area or one part of the conversation. He's talking about phosphates and algae, right? And everybody's saying to him, well, it's got to be this number or you're going to get algae. And he's like, I'm twice that number and I've got no issues. Come to my house and see it. So it was an open conversation, and there is no hard rules. There are reasons why things happen. And that's part of our learning journey, is to like, well, okay, well, what do you have that's going on? That's why you're allowing this to do this. And his idea basically is that by running CO2, even a light load in the tank, it allows the plants to thrive and outcompete for nutrients. The algae just never gets to take hold. So how do you have high phosphate and no algae? That's his theory. And so that kind of information is very hard to get, because you've got to watch a really long thing. So how do I take that information and deliver it to people, in a short?
This is why it's important to have friends, you guys.
Yeah.
I can not stress this enough, because I have no damn clue what the heck he just said. But it's fun to learn, and it's fun to have people.
Well, we were just doing TDS. So he's got some discus. He's trying to breed, and we're going. And I'm like explaining TDS and GH and KH. And you got to remember that ideally, you do want fish that you buy locally to be in your local water structure, so you're not married into, RODI water, remineralization, stuff like that, unless that's what you want. Because then you'd have to adapt that fish over, because that fish came out of a fish store locally. It's going to be in our local water structure. Mm-hmm. So, that's, so then limiting yourself to the right fish, and educating people so this fish will survive, but what will it need to thrive? And that, delivering that information for it. And so people can make the right decisions and have the right scenario, stuff like that. So, but at the same time, we've got a
I'm just going to say, as he's saying this,
a turtle, goldfish that the turtle never ate that now live in the tank. I mean,
some Africans that breed in there.
Upside down catfish. Yeah, what is this thing? 300? We're guessing
300. Yeah,
380, 300. So it's just, it's and it's a great relationship because like I just did a video and I needed a big tank, and so for me to come over here and be able to shoot it,
Your video.
so yeah, so and then really just it's there are really no rules. There's what is the safest thing, because I don't want to tell you to get a pacu and a turtle and leave some goldfish in there and no, bad idea. But it's happening, and the turtle feeds the pacu. They'll share shrimp. They grew up together.
You guys.
They've been together. I mean, in our
we'll
videos,
videos
I like encourage people to like watch what they're doing and not listen to us.
That's probably where the views.
That's where the views come from.
Hey, Jimmy, check this video out. Yeah. So I was just going to bring that up too, as people sit and look behind us. There's some South Americans too having babies in the rocks back there. This is just a hodgepodge mess. This is do as I say, not as I do tank.
And these are like rescues. These are rescued fish. So he's never going to admit it, but like when that person puts up, I need help or a rescue or this, that, this is what he gets and jumps in and is going to save people's fish because they're moving and they have nowhere to go. And so the fish shed is kind of like a shelter. There's a fish shelter, and some of these fish are at shelters.
We do a lot of that through the fish club. Being part of the fish club, I really find out the amount of people that get rid of fish. The amount of people that are willing to throw their fish in a canal if somebody's not willing to come and get them is absolutely absurd.
It is a big
and they're
problem.
not afraid to tell you. Well, it'll be like, I'm moving on Tuesday, and I know it's Monday or Tuesday tomorrow. If somebody doesn't come and get these fish by like dinner tonight, there's a pond out back. It's like, and I wholeheartedly believe them because we live in Florida and we see the fish all over. It's crazy out here.
Yeah, invasive species and stuff like that. So you got to be responsible, and it's a big part of when you start getting involved, and in the education standpoint, you gotta be responsible to like our fish club has decided that we won't allow invasive species to be sold at our auction because it's just the right thing to do. Somebody's making us to do it. It's the right thing to do. So we try our best, and just to be responsible in the hobby, because that is part of our responsibility. And it's a big argument for antibiotics use, and I think it's abused. I think antibiotics are just overused, but we got a couple of really interesting things, to talk about and stuff like that. There's other remedies, other ways to handle things and more holistically try that first before we pull out the heavy hitters and then flush it down our drains, So, and where we live, it's a problem because all the water flows on the surface. Nothing goes into the earth. Everything runs on the surface and runs into the Everglades. So it never gets in the ground. So it's tough. It's a hard thing down here. Water is not great to begin with. Super hard, nasty, smells bad.
Something keeps popping in my head every time we mention people we can talk to or fish club or anything like that. Because it's like 3 hours away from everything.
Yeah.
I was talking the other day. That's brutal. I take for granted the situation we're in. We have fish. We can actually go to fish club every weekend. So and some weekends we can pick between really good ones. So it's kind of strange.
Yeah, really big clubs in major cities like Tampa and Orlando. It's 2-3 hour drive from where we are. So if you want to be a every weekend fish hobby, it's so many people around. So we're blessed in the location that we're in that we can get around these things. We have some great stores north and west of us. There's some really I'm gonna bring him the video we're gonna do. I'm gonna bring him to my favorite fish store, and he's gonna bring me to his favorite fish store and show it to me. And I've never been to the place up in Tampa, and mine's in Fort Lauderdale. And so just trying to share our experience with everybody, what it's like. And that's what you should do. Just go for a ride with your friend to a fish store.
Oh,
and accidentally buy a fish.
Sit in there and drive around. Oh my gosh. Or buy one for your friend. Here, take this home.
Yeah.
Now I'm going to give you a tank. You've got to escape this out. I'll be back in a few hours. We should plan a road trip to Chris Junkin's shop when it opens up.
Friends opening a shop. So, great mentality like that, share mentality shop. So,
yeah. Yeah, no, there's a couple of things that I wanted to touch on real quick. One of them was when you were talking about medications, and I think it's what you guys talking about alternatives is very important because I don't know if you guys remember, but a while back there was this an attempt to try to eliminate some of the medications that we're allowed to use in the hobby.
Well,
And
yeah.
if people don't know how to operate without the medications, they're really going to be in trouble if that were ever to happen.
I mean, I think
So
I, just
Yeah, that's critical.
a little bit of my very brief knowledge of like outside of the United States. Hungary, you can't ship fish, period, end story. There's no shipping of fish. There's no antibiotics use in almost all of Europe. So people post in the groups and they're like, oh, I've got this. And people are like, oh, erythromycin.
No.
And like, no, I'm in Europe. I can't. So we have to start learning about this because it is a possibility. And the fact that we're hodgepodge throwing antibiotics at them, they're building a resistance to it. And we really need to learn why things are happening and educate that side of it so that you can save that for when it's a last resort.
When I was
While
younger,
we still
I
can
just
do it.
kicked that again. When I was younger, you could go buy like fish antibiotics, penicillin for your fish and stuff like that. And it's just gone now. And I think it has. I personally think it has to do. I think maybe it just is. You can probably look it up. You know.
Yeah.
And people taking it and using it. I think that's the same thing that's kind of happening with the methylene blue right now.
Yeah. Yeah.
They're trying to phase that stuff out too.
So methylene blue is an issue, and there's you got to be pushing other ideas. And I've spoken to somebody that's got an alternative to methylene blue for eggs, and we're supposed to be trying out a product. So it's like with super exciting stuff. Like imagine a product that would keep your eggs. Now, this is not my area of expertise. He'd probably explain it better, which is, basically stop your eggs from getting fungus, and sterilize the water from anything growing on the eggs.
I'm excited.
He's excited about it, and he's going to teach me all about it because it's not something I've ever done. So, raising from eggs, so I'll get a whole crash course with the audience about it, which I think is great because then I can ask the questions that I think the audience would be thinking about. And maybe it makes it a good video. So
I keep looking down at the screen because I see that dang fish swim behind me. Sorry, they get out of here.
I think for alternative to medicines, water changes, just water changes, temperature, learning how to use temperature to treat some of the stuff, and salt, which is really what you're all going to have access to. But there's got to be botanicals out there that you could probably use.
That's what
I use as much natural stuff as I can. Botanicals, aldercones. I'll keep fish with tree branches and stuff like that. I like to use the live oak trees. I have them with the Corobia and stuff. They look to be absolutely thriving. They look great. I like to use Melifix and Pemafix instead of like the pharmaceutical type medications. I have some rainbow fish behind me that one of my friends came over and they were failing on me, and I was doing what I do. And that's how I do it. And I've been doing it for years. And I asked him, he came over and looked at him, and erythromycin, the one with the E. Yeah. And the fish were literally barrel rolling to their death. And when he put it in there, like 20 minutes later, they actually leveled out and were swimming. They are fine now. So sometimes you do need it, but I just think fish. That's part of the reason why they're taking it away.
It's abused. I mean, there are holistics out there, even in big brand stuff. Some stuff is not a antibiotic. It's more holistic approach of caring for the fish, generating a slime coat that'll help the fish heal. But I think it's the education in identifying, and so you gotta go through the reps right in this YouTube journey for us to make good things. So I think that with us trying to learn how to make good videos, but at the same time sharing our education. So what we'll do? Ick and Epi, because everybody's done a video about it. But how do you tell the difference between two? Because they're two different treatments. One's raised temperature, one's drop temperature. And if you do the wrong, you accelerate the other. So, and there's so many people treating for ick when they have Epi. And I think that a lot of people think they have ick when they have Epi, and they end up, killing fish over it, or doing, shortened lifespan because they hurt the fish, But it definitely is something that I learned, and later, and that's what kind of my inspiration for Aqualust was like, I made so many mistakes and wasted so much money and just did so many things that if I could help somebody avoid that part of it,
there's so much stuff that's just misdiagnosed and so much wrong information on the internet. And I'm not saying I'm right ever. And I'm not saying we're right or other people are wrong, but I like to be able to go at it and be like, this is right in this situation. It does work. It's not wrong information. Touch on, you brought up salt before, like using salt. For years, I was like, people are out of their mind putting salt with their fish. Well, you're out of your mind. I was sure it was going to kill my snails and my plants. I use salt now. It's great. It's wonderful.
It depends on the dilution. You can use, and he's got a lot of hardy plants. He's not buying anything sensitive. So you have something sensitive and you put salt in there, you're going to kill it. But like somebody, I always saw the comment come up before. They said that he starts with a lot of aeration and a little extra salt on it. And absolutely, because you're treating, and just that little bit gives the fish more of a chance to acclimate stress-free. And that was kind of like what I was trying to incorporate with this aquascape design. Was there is aquascape design built in to relieve the stress of the fish, have places they could hide but still in plain sight, but they have overhead coverage and things that give them comfortable. And they've been in there not that long and they're super comfortable. And if you notice, the fish is, I've got a red, I think it's a red Reuben sword in there, and the fish is just hanging out under a leaf, nice big leaf the size of the fish, and it's it's a good, comfortable spot. So understanding the fish psychology makes for happy fish, which makes hopefully more babies.
Yeah.
That's something to stare at.
The other thing I wanted to ask you guys. Oh, sorry, Jody. Go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
Oh no. I know you guys said you guys met up about 2 years ago at your local fish club. At that point, where does the idea start to go, hey, maybe we should do something together? Where is that born?
So a couple of years ago, I started thinking about this and started just kind of thinking about that. I just don't really want to, I don't know. Stuff together for a couple of years and in networking with all kinds of people like in other states, and I went to events and national events and just started kind of talking to people and seeing what was going to work for me and what would work for other people and who could help me help them and help each other. And then I was talking to Bill one day about a couple of things, and he had a channel, and I was like, hey Bill, you should just come on when I do a podcast type thing and come on an interview. And then all of a sudden, I don't know, they're sitting there now and it worked out perfect. I think
it was just it was a scenario because the idea of the Wet Floor podcast is relatively new. I know Jody was doing some videos, posting Facebook, stuff like that, local. He's very active in all the local clubs. Everybody knows him. He's like the mayor. Gets around, and he's got this idea of shared knowledge. That's what I want. I want all my friends to just share all their knowledge, right? Yeah. And so when he basically was talking to me a lot about that, and was always very supportive of my YouTube journey, and then was telling me you want to do it, and I said I'll help you. Another thing, like I made a million mistakes and like how to avoid it, and like how do you do this? How do you do it? Right? So that is all part of just we were getting to know each other and becoming friends. And then basically we had talked about it on and off and how serious was it, and then he came to me and said, I got these imaginary fish tanks, you got to see them. That's what kicked it off. And I said you have fire on your hands here. I said oh my God, we have to get this out. So I said to him, let's do it. And I said it's a hard conversation. We don't want to bash the brand. The tank is beautiful. Honestly, glass, quality of assembly. I mean, it's just the top. It's just the brace. And that's why I've been kicking the idea of
all the way with water.
Yeah. And, it's such a nice tank, and the brand, and like we're going to do a video on like buying a fish from Petco and how do you bring that into your house and safely in quarantine. And, because I think that when you're dealing with big box stores, you have to take a bigger broader approach and a much more cautious, longer term approach to a fish, you know. But
Yeah.
you know, you could have the same problems in a local fish store that's a small place that's not well kept. So, you know, that doesn't mean anything. But the idea of that a lot of people like yourself, maybe not local and have a whole lot of availability, you have a long drive to anywhere to a big city, a big box store may be your only option. So, you know,
well, that
and
is my only
especially
option for 80% of the time.
so our
Yeah.
idea is that, you know, this tank is like, this is a new product we think it's really nice, but we think it's dangerous. So we think it's dangerous. So he mounted it 5 feet above our head in front of us. But
Yeah.
at the same time, we want to bring this attention to people so they don't get caught. You know, can you imagine? Like we're in Florida. We're on slabs. There's no basement. It's a tile floor. You know, it's a fish room. You know,
having these in here.
You know, it's like
Nothing's going to happen if they blow up.
Yeah, it's like, but if it happened in somebody's house with hardwood flooring, that'll take you out of the hobby. You know that, you know, so
People still have carpeting.
Yeah,
too.
carpeting. Oh yeah. So, you know, but that was our kind of thing. It's like bring this up and address it so that the education can get out there, and that's what kicked off the thing. Because I said to him, it's like, you know, I don't want to put it through Aqualust. This is, you know, your channel and your information. This is your kickstart. And Aqualust really for me is you know, focusing on more fine details, like just aquascaping stuff and just product reviews and just educational videos, hard nerdy water cage. You know, I just put out RODI water, nobody cares, but I like the video, it's fun.
Yeah, I want to just have fun and talk to people and kick back and do a podcast and have them chopped up into videos. I just don't want to do any of the work. I just want to talk.
Yeah, and honestly, what we want to get to is the comfortability point that we can do lives and participate with
not
our
look
audience.
at the computer screen the whole time.
Yeah, so learning.
So what I'm gonna have to do is mount my camera right there.
Yeah, so you're looking
That's the
at
best way to do it. Then you're just looking right at it.
Now, on that video that you guys did you guys get any pushback from anybody or the company itself?
No, and that's what I was really hoping for. So before that came out, I just didn't find some tanks and willy-nilly be like, yo, you guys made some junky tanks. Let's see if we can do some clickbait here.
No, shoot. Is it my end or there?
Did we lose you there?
Yep.
Yeah, for a little bit.
All right.
Are we back?
You're
All
back.
right. So I've been in contact with Petco Corporate, multiple managers around the state. We bought different tanks at different places. When we first got these tanks, it was odd because they get like one here and then one at the other store, and that was it.
Yeah,
there was never a pile of them. So we drove around and picked them up because we needed them. One buddy was doing a big, huge fish room and needed a whole bunch. Another person wanted some for a store. I wanted some here, and a good friend of mine up in Northport wanted some. And we got some out, and he painted them at his house, and then called and was like, "You know, look at this on this." Sent me a picture with a level on top. So I called somebody, and we looked at those, and they were like that also, painted also, and on racks. Those are never going to matter. They'll never get a lid. And then so I started going to. First, I went and called Petco, and I'm like, "Yo, I need to return these. They have paint on them. They didn't want to deal with it." And I said, "Well, but they're bad." And then I started showing them right at the store that their new ones were like that. And then we started thinking, well, maybe this has to do with manufacturing and stuff. You'll have to watch the video.
Yeah.
So that's how we got it. I kicked that again. So that's kind of how that's how it started.
That's how it started.
And then we just
we just said, like we said before, we're just gonna start with some like basic education content. We did one just like, what must you have for your fish tank? You want to set up a new tank, just, you know, because everyone's like, oh, just get a tank and a filter. Yeah. Oh, well, you need a stand. Hey, if you got a stand, you got to level it, you know, and bring that up. Like, who's talking about leveling fish tanks? Because, you know, you can't sit here and blame this brand if this fish tank fails, if the tank was leaning forward its whole life on the front glass. So, you know, you got to be fair to a manufacturer that the tank is set up correctly and we're loading it correctly. So, and just kind of just put out some videos that we thought were questions people would have.
Yeah, and
So-
we're just gonna run with it.
Now
Bill's gonna dual wield channels.
as of right now, it seems like the videos are sort of the podcast, but they're in video format, correct? Are you
Yeah,
guys ever
video
going to be
format.
going live?
Not yet. I can't do it yet.
Yeah. So really, I think the thing is like the structure, because
Comfortable.
just being in the YouTube space for a while, we're not talking at the pace you would get bored of it, So it's we're working
Need a
on
little
our
bit of work.
communication and our structure, but that we can. I'm doing all the editing, so trust me. For me, if we could do it in one
He does
take
it,
and,
yeah.
and do a good delivery, it'd be wonderful.
Yeah.
Because what's happening is that I'm cutting out a lot of boring and ums and so but this is our journey. We're having a lot of fun. But the idea
I can't
of it,
remember my fish names either. When the camera turns on, like
he just blanks out. He's got to have his paper,
like,
And I can't read anything. So needless to say, he's getting there, getting up to the
we'll
steam.
get
But
it.
we'll get it. And I think that is ultimately what Jody's goal was with Uncle Joe's Fish Shed channel, was the community aspect of it, and lives are all about community.
Yeah.
So that's where we want to go. And we want to, we're working on he's working on the website, getting that up and running. And that will also eventually be, community based too. So, where he really wants to bring attention to the people that are bringing the fish to Uncle Joe's Fish Shed. So, I think that's really a big part of it, rather than this mystery. Like, I've got pea puffers.
Where did they come from?
Yeah, where did they come from? Were these wild or were these bred? And then so I bought some pea puffers from my local fish auction, and they're like one pea puffer, and I'm like rescuing pea puffers because they shouldn't have one pea puffer. They're supposed to be a shoaling fish, supposed to be in groups. So I'm like buying up pea puffers, and I'm getting pea puffers from people, and they're not in good shape. It's a fish that's a lot of people find very hard to keep. And carnivorous, very picky, and everybody thinks it's so ferocious, but actually my guppies used to bully the pea puffers, and then I've had my mistakes, and that's how I've learned. So I wanted to share a lot of what I've learned through not making the same mistakes.
Yeah, no,
So
I think
it's
what
started.
you guys, I think you guys are in the perfect situation because of what you said. You guys have so many experienced hobbyists, and not only on YouTube, but you guys will be able to pluck people for interviews and stuff like that. That I think would be very interesting.
I mean, just like Tropica, right? Fish was this past. So we meet the first weekend of
Imperial Tropicals.
Imperial Tropicals, which is a big fish farm down here in Florida, came to our fish club and gave a whole talk, and now is invited us to do a tour of the facility. It's like that, having that availability in that kind of location, it's like is amazing. Just to have that local, in Florida is where a lot of the fish.
I'm sure a lot of the people watching out here have fish from there.
And it's just a lot of people with fish rooms. They come here. You come here to retire and have fish. Stay in your house all day with the air conditioning and your fish.
Is it Florida is like the biggest industry for tropical fish because they have all the farms out there
because they can farm. Well, basically now they're not losing them.
No, I'm here.
I may have lost them.
No, I'm here.
Let's see if he comes back.
Oh shit!
We can
Did I drop out or what?
Hey, I saw him.
You guys see me now?
There he goes. He's back.
I can.
That's good.
You guys were both on my end. I didn't realize it had dropped off.
Oh
yeah,
sorry.
I forgot.
I'm gonna have to fix my connection.
What did you just say?
Oh no, I said that you guys are basically, isn't that Florida like the biggest industry for the tropical fish? I mean, that's where most of the farms and all that stuff is located.
You guys just Google Imperial Tropicals once, and that's just
major. And then
they're huge, but these are all pond-raised fish.
Yeah,
but they.
He was actually so this talk was actually great, and he was going through. It's like, this is a family business. They've been doing it for years. And then it was his parents was all outside ponds, and one of the questions I asked, like, how do you deal with the gators? And he's like, yeah, no, we get gators as all preserved land
They
behind
don't,
us.
What do you say? They don't eat much.
Yeah, they don't eat much. But it's a outdoor facility. But now he's built a significant warehouse.
Yeah.
And now they just built another one, or in the process, and they're basically moving everything indoors. So and he's like, yeah, that's the old school mentality. He goes, now we're moving to the next generation and dealing with the industry grows. I mean, the fish now,
better quality is going to come out of it this way.
Yeah, the
these
fish
farms, better quality is going to end up in a lot of the pet stores. As more and more farms do this, there are a lot of big farms down there that have great programs and put out really good fish.
Yeah,
there are a lot of farms down here that sell nationwide that put out trash.
I'm a firm believer that anybody that's raising these fish, professionally farm, and this is their living, they're probably doing a pretty decent job. I think it's the education of shipping is so important, and why certain businesses have that must ship overnight mentality, must be in a certain day. I ask people not to ship in the heat, or the freezing cold. It's like, try and be attentive to it and understand you're dealing with a living thing, and you should be putting your best effort forward to that. So if that means it's going to be 98 this week, every day this week, yeah, maybe I'm not ordering fish just because it's hot, because it's not the right thing to do. I think that a lot of the problems that we handle is that anything that's brought in, and by the time it hits our store, it's been 3 or 4 handles, and that's tough. And now you're getting weak fish. So that's why I think putting together a network of breeders, and no, we don't have every fish in the world, and here's your water structure the fish was raised in. There's certain places I buy from online because they have the right shipping mentality, and they give you, we're already treating the fish with these meds. They've been through 2 rounds, been through 1 round. I'll pay for it, because I bought pea puppers that lasted 2 weeks, and they all was sick, and I couldn't even keep them alive, and then paid twice the amount of money. And I bought the ones that died locally. And this was what I was saying. How do I know where they came from, opposed to bought them online and was told wild caught, eating worms, treated twice for parasites, so I paid more, but I've got the same fish, years later now. So, because I bought healthy fish, but I think the education has to go out there, because I think it's a big problem in the hobby is that we just cut too many dollars out of things and not realizing that things are just expensive. I paid more for shipping those pea puppers than I did for all the pea puppers, so it's the way it goes.
I wonder if the change in the way the industry is handling the breeding of the fish, is it just a misperception on my part? Because I remember growing up, there didn't seem to be many variations of the fish that were out there, and it seems like today there's a lot more options. So I'm wondering if that's kind of, in order to be able to supply the demand, you gotta be able to keep all the different species.
The variety.
Yeah, you really do have to have a wide variety, and there's every year there's multiple new species found and brought into the hobby, so it gets bigger and bigger. But there's a lot of hybrids and stuff like that out there now too, and bringing in a lot of variants.
Yeah.
Super red and double red and triple red, and what? From line breeding and stuff like that, I suppose. So we'll never have you can go online and look at some of the guys like 250 of something in stock. We'll have 20, maybe 100, a couple hundred of something sometimes, but this is going to be boutique style with quality, a heavy culling program, and the fish are going to have to be, before I'll let them leave here, they're going to have to stay again. And
be put through
the cut. We're not just going to take somebody's fish because they're a local breeder or a breeder that we find through one of the clubs out there. If any of you guys are in fish clubs out there too, reach out. We can do box exchanges. Anyways, box exchanges are fun, guys. Anybody want to trade box with Fort Myers? We got you.
We did it with Chicago Cichlid Association.
I guess sidetracked. Now we're talking about trading
fish. But on a really quick note, kind of the mentality of even like our local club was, one of our members moved from Chicago. He was in the Cichlid Association there, and we did a box swap with them, and they gave us some beautiful fish. I mean, absolutely. We did a video on it.
New Jersey.
We did a video on it. Nobody watched it, and it was great. But the experience was great because a bunch of people from our club donated fish, and then they donated back, and then they all just went towards the benefit of the club. So they were donated fish. So all those profit went to supporting the club. So it was a lot of fun, and we got a big education on some really beautiful fish, and was a lot of fun for everybody involved. I mean, you gave some fish, you donated fish, so it was a lot of fun, and that's part of what just that whole mentality, the people involved that we're bringing into, because it's not the Wet Floor podcast wants to highlight the people too, and eventually we'll be bringing in those people. And he just did an interview with that guy, so it'll be our first video ever where we're bringing that interviewer.
Yeah, I'm pretty excited. Someday I'll get calm. We'll do regular lives, and then we'll chop some videos out of it and have podcast form.
It's Rick.
Hello, Rick.
Hi, Rick.
That's pretty
no, that's Keith, but he's asking if it was Rick
Keith.
that you guys were talking about.
Oh, yes.
I saw that.
Oh yeah.
That's
oh yeah, he's an amazing guy. Love Rick.
He's a good friend of mine.
Yeah, totally great guy.
See, I think that's really important what you guys are doing, because there's something to be said about having that connection as to the person who you're buying the product from, and that hardly ever gets highlighted, other than the immediate circles, that you guys are in there. But being able to bring them out to a wider audience so that people can hear the story and understand what goes into why their fish are the way they are. I think that is brilliant that you guys are doing that.
That's exactly what my vision was, and what the goal is for this. I want you to be able to have Anthony's fish, which you can or get them at Dan's right now. You can get them from us too, but I also want you to have. I just want quality.
That's like, I know that Anthony put his heart into breeding that fish and made sure that everything was pristine. He's super intelligent, and he's breeding for a challenge. I think a lot of his fish are either rare or endangered. So hard some or hard to breed. Not necessarily. It's like he's challenging himself to breed. So I know that he's really striving for the utmost best he can do. And so he's not doing it for the money. But when you breed a bunch of fish, what do? You can't keep a bunch of fish. You have to get rid of them. And that's what's happening. And so that kind of thing is where we're sharing that with the hobby. And I think that's, breeding a fish that may not be super popular, may not be the prettiest fish in the world. So it falls out of, sight. Like you're saying, with as the industry changes and they aren't, I would agree that when I was younger, you went in the fish store, there wasn't that big and it wasn't that many selections. A lot of live bearers because they were just easy to keep, So needless to say,
for me, I don't ever recall seeing a pistogrammas back in the day when I was, in the late 80s, early 90s. Definitely, if you saw tetras, they were either the skirt tetras or neon tetras, but now there's so many different variations that I wasn't aware back then. But again, I don't know if this has just been growth of the hobby or the exposure of being able to see social media where I can see stuff that if it wasn't in my immediate circle, I wouldn't be able to see it. I don't know if that's why it seems like there's more species now, or it is something that is really happening where there is availability for more different species.
I think it's both. I guess I was thinking of it being more species now because the circle, when you talk about the circle you're in, the circle I'm in includes, like he mentioned, Rick, that's Chicago. And then we got TC out in California, those guys, and we have you and then people in New York. So 100%, yes, that does make a big impact. The internet and stuff. Otherwise, the stuff wouldn't be around. Then now we see what they have available online and on the internet, and I can order from the Wet Spot or Dave's out of Texas or Dan's, and I can get what kind of fish those people are into. Otherwise, you have to have these huge places, which some of them do with a billion different fish.
And I think the problem is that once you get to that level, I've owned a lot of businesses, and when they're small, they're easy because you can control everything. When it gets bigger, it's harder to scale and keep the quality. And so eventually it turns into big business, and you're going to start, quality and personal care is going to suffer. So there's that fine line. And Jody, Uncle Joe's Fish Shed's not looking to be, a tremendous warehouse fish farm. Doesn't want to be a farm.
I can focus on bringing quality product that other people put their heart and soul into, and I'm going to utilize that to get it out there. And I do breed a lot of fish here in house.
Yeah, and like he's gonna breed out for me. He's gonna breed out these green tiger barbs. So he's gonna breed me. So I have a lot of them, and I'm gonna do a really big tank, and we're gonna do a Dutch style tank. And no plant will be green because I'm gonna have green fish.
There's nothing to do with a blanket or smelling bad.
Yeah. So try and do something different, and it's like he's like, yeah, I'll and I'm like, I have time, I want to have other things to do. So while he works on that project, I can gear up for my project. And it's fun for us to kind of come up with ideas and now both challenge ourselves. He's gonna challenge him to breed these fish and have beautiful, consistent fish that I can have a big school of, or is it for me to grow the plants that are going to make those fish really show and pop and be a beautiful tank. It's
just fun stuff.
Yeah, it's fun.
Fun stuff.
Yeah.
I really I think YouTube and social media is the only way really to bring more younger people into the hobby too. And it does help that, younger people are showing up for things more so than they were prior to me starting. So I know that this hobby struggled for quite a while, and entertaining and catering to the younger generation is going to be key with this, and using how they choose and want to take in their information and knowledge is what we're going to have to do to pass it along and to have it continue.
Yeah. Because otherwise we're gonna be in a scenario where it's a every month you reorder this product for your fish tank. And I have friends that were that way, and I met them, and I realized that fish. I rescued a pleco from somebody in a 29 bow front, full size pleco. Yeah, it was top to bottom on the glass, and he left the light on. He said it was his night light. I said, fish don't have eyelids. They'll never get a rest, and he didn't even realize. Then he felt bad. I'm like, but it was post right after a hurricane hit, and he had lost everything. And miraculously, the tank didn't topple over, and I went there and saved the fish, and actually I brought it to my local fish store who rehomed him. And I was lucky enough to be there, and the fish ended up in a big pond in where a big 24-inch pleco belongs, and in a personal pond on somebody's property, to help maintain their pond. And was happy to see it at least went to the right place. But that's a whole game is, what pleco did I buy?
Oh my God.
And for beginners in the hobby, that could turn you off.
What pleco did I buy? I played that game. I'm not even kidding. I made a little video today. It just said zebra pleco on a price list from a place I was looking at today, and I was like at the wholesaler, and I was like, they showed up today. They're just tight. I think they're tiger plecos.
And we said that even though Uncle Joe's Fish is looking for local breeders, is there somebody local breeding clowns? And no. So I'm gonna have to buy them in order to supply what people want. And I love clown plecos. They're great fish.
I like
but I think to educate the public, how many people buy a pleco on mistake and not know how big this fish is going to be, and that's a responsibility of the seller, and like the one store that's one of my favorite stores that's in Fort Lauderdale. I was standing in their store, and a guy comes in and goes, I want to buy a tank. And she's like, okay, great. And so he's like, well, I want this fish. She's like, oh no, it doesn't work that way. You need to get this. So she went right into education rather than just selling him. And I respect them so much more. And this guy actually threw a hissy and was like, well, I want fish today. And they talked him into and educated him educated him into that. And it's it's something that
fish today. Yeah. I mean, everybody they sell in the store. I have a sign hanging up on my wall cut out of a fish tank box. That tells you exactly how not to add fish.
Yeah, want to add fish today?
I was just curious. Do you guys all have Petco and PetSmart Do your common plecos? Do you have common plecos at your store that say common pleco Florida like that? The ones that get 2 feet, or is it just down south where we get those? Or
Yeah, like
do you guys
No,
have
we-
them
do you
all the
ever
way
see
up
them?
north?
I'll tell you what I have noticed, and the only reason I know this is because I was actually at the PetSmart right before jumping on the live stream because I was just curious to see what they were carrying. I am seeing the change where common plecos are not as common anymore. I'm starting to see more of the bristle nose, the rubber lips. They
Good.
had clown plecos, which make a little bit more sense because they stay a little bit more manageable.
Yeah,
And
they're man,
I'm
you don't
not
have
seeing,
to have a big tank.
yeah, I'm not seeing the common pleco as prevalent as I used to see it. And I don't know. I think it's a combination of uh, information being more readily available.
Oh yeah, it
I
has
think
to
I
be.
think I think the YouTube really does influence, or TikTok or wherever, where people are talking. They're constantly talking about how big these fish can get, how they can. There's that viral video where it looks like there's one dried, crusty, common pleco, and the guy pours water in its mouth and it
I've
comes
seen
back to
that.
life.
I've seen that.
Oh,
You know,
I've
so
had them on the floor that have been out all the way for all day long looking for, and you just put them in water, and they really actually do come back from being a little dry. Even. I mean, it's just absolutely.
But
amazing.
you know, like what he was saying, like we have a huge problem here. So where the city that Jody lives in has got canals everywhere,
They're
and
huge.
and people are throwing their fish in the canals, common plecos. Now you're talking 3-foot common plecos out in the wild, and they're killing the ecosystem. So it's like, there's that whole responsibility thing goes back to medicine, goes back to just everything about the hobby is, our waste in the hobby is just as important. So
I think it's great that they're getting all the PetSmart and
they're
Petco
catching on.
into the new plecos and stuff, and like you brought it before, I think that has a lot to do with online and what people want. I know, props to PetSmart and Petco. Now I don't know how many years, maybe it's been a long time and I don't pay attention, but on the bottom of the little tags they have the little yellow, pink, blue, and their little dots, and those, if you want to memorize it, tell you the size of the fish and a few other things for keeping them in the parameters.
They're finally,
it also says up to 24 inches on there, which they get way bigger than 24 inches. If it says 24 inches on there, I think the biggest one we have, one of our buddies got Alec, and I think it was like close to 32, like right hitting that there. So they get way bigger than 24.
But at least they're trying to put some education out. Yeah.
I forgot which it was. I think a Petco, and I'm thinking it was in the San Diego area. And I love what they did because you can tell people 24 inches, and they can't visualize what 24. Because how many times have you seen somebody tell me how big is 12 inches? And everybody's perception is different.
Yeah.
They had the outlines of the different species of the fish that they have.
So you
the
could
true
see
size that they get. And that's when I saw that, I said, this is brilliant. I wish more fish stores would do that, because then you really see, oh shoot, 24 inches is a lot bigger than I really
tape
envisioned.
it on a 10-gallon tank.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah. And really,
Or
and
a
really,
big bow front.
And really it's stuff like that. Like, like my buddy's story is that he got the tank and the fish when one of his friends moved, and the fish was tiny, and he just Amazon reorder every month. They send him a filter cartridge, and he just changes the water. And it's because the pleco, it could live, but the tank was
just
nasty.
forever.
And I mean, but he had this monster fish that wasn't living a great life, was trapped, and it barely could turn around. And it's like, this is not, and I kind of broke it down. I kind of broke it down for him, and he felt bad, but I didn't want to make him feel bad. I just wanted him to, I think one of the most powerful experiences I had when I first got in the hobby, I was in a pet store, and I was talking to the owner of the pet store. I said, my fish, and he goes, your pets. And I said, oh, he's right. These are my pets.
Oh, yeah.
I have dogs.
So
why would I not treat my fish as well as I treat my dogs?
Yeah.
So
I got a couple pets. That's it. The rest of them are fish.
Yeah. These are pretty much pets. There's really nothing. This is rescues.
I keep it separate.
But that was powerful for me, and that was many years ago, and that changed my perspective of how I looked at it. And I strive to just do my best, So I'm all geeky, technical numbers guy, and he's all, this is how I've always done it, and it works, and and not that he's ignoring things. If there's a problem, he knows how to recognize issues without testing. But that's years of experience. I work on cars 35 years. You could ask me a question, I probably will be pretty close, or give you a really good idea because it's just my experience.
The
so
elimination process is a lot less because you understand some of the symptoms that the vehicle is doing. So same thing with fish, and that's what I tell people. I know, and all this. The problem is, I don't think we do a very good job of distinguishing between information for beginners versus information for people that have had some experience, few years under their belts. Like
that's
people.
It's his frustration point with me.
Perfect.
That's his frustration point with me. Is that it's like, how do I
am so uneducated.
Deliver it? How do I talk about mineral hardness, GH and KH, and like I'm talking to somebody he doesn't even have the concept of it. So it's hard to get.
So for us to be able to go at this together, and bring guests on, I get to be more like the dumb guy of it, but I really will need to study and learn a lot of this stuff because I go off of experience and stuff like that, and that's what I'm going to continue to do. So
I'm going to tell you what one of the coolest things that's happened to me, because I came into this having a very minimal knowledge. Not that I have much more now, but it's grown a little bit, and a lot of it has just been from having conversations with people that I absolutely know, head and shoulders above my knowledge.
I love it.
And you'll be amazed in a year's passing after talking to all these people how much more you've learned and picked up just from having those conversations. This is one of the reasons why I love doing this, is because every time that I do one of these, I always walk away with something I didn't know. And it's just like a little tool that I can put in my toolbox, and I store it in there. And the time will come where I'll be able to go, oh yeah, I remember they talked about this, and I'll be able to pull that information out and be able to use it. So yeah, don't worry about trying to be the smartest or the more. I find it more interesting because then I have questions that I can genuinely ask somebody because I don't know. And it's like, okay, you're talking about this, but why?
Yeah, then we can learn together from Bill or whoever else it is. I absolutely love it.
I mean, but years and years and years ago, I was interviewing for a job and a mechanic, and the guy basically asked me, he's like, do you know how to do XYZ? I'm like, I know how to learn, and what I basically came from that was like, I may not have every answer, but if it's a good question that I'm interested in, especially, I'll go find the information. And that's, everything I know, I was taught. I didn't, so I got it from somebody else. And that's what I want to do, is now pass that information on. And I've compiled a lot. And I think that's what Jody does when I bring up topics that he doesn't really know about. Then he dives deep into it to educate himself so he can share it with everybody. And then he brings a different perspective that, and I, like, we just did one on reverse respiration, which is using club soda to kill algae and pest snails and viruses.
It's real.
So would you kill all the algae off a plant and all the snails and any viruses on it by just soaking it in club soda? Yeah. So this is, it's like, there's your one thing you learned today. Yeah. Good thing is we have a video that we're done here. You can go watch.
I'll definitely give that a look. Because what I've always done is dip them in peroxide, and I'm thinking there's got to be some similarities.
It's a lot cheaper to fill up a bucket with club soda than
the guy who came up with this is absolutely, Bill knows him. The guy's absolutely great. And, it's
actually I made the video, and he does another thing which is called watercolor test. Or it's watercolor charts.
Excuse me.
Watercolorscharts.com, and it's high high-res images of an API master test kit, like, say pH 6.4. So you're actually looking at a picture, not a print. I worked in print. I understand how that works. That color is changing with every print, and so it's not going to be consistent. It's going to be close. But if you want a real thing to compare it to, then it's basically just high-res photos that he's confirmed with testing. These are nitrate. This is ammonia. So he gives you the whole API, printout. And he said, I was texting with him. And he said, yeah, nobody seemed to want to buy it. It was like $5, so I made it free. He's just sharing his experience and everything. And reverse respiration was all over Aquarium Co-op. It's a huge thread, so it's a ton of education if you want to dive into it and really understand. There are people much smarter than us, so we give you all those links through the video. So that's stuff like that. I just want to, how much better is it for somebody that doesn't go to a fish club meeting and come home with snails, that they know that now I just need a liter of club soda, a bucket, and a towel. I bought my plants, I dumped them in there. The next morning I took them out and I put them in my tank. I don't have to worry about snails, and there's no algae, and that's simple. So, but I never knew that for years. I've kept fish for years. I have hundreds of dollars in plants. I have a plant problem, and so it's why do I learn this now? So I want to get this out to people, and maybe you have your tank went sideways and your plants are really in bad shape and you want to save them. This is a way that you can uproot them and save them. So you can't be pouring it into your tank. It's not an in-tank treatment. But not using Excel, not using, I use 2-hour Aquarist fix, I think it's called.
I use dirty filters. So.
Yeah. So.
Yeah. Mike Hunt's asking a question. I don't know if you guys might know the answer to this or not, but what are the benefits of known beneficial antimicrobials of tannins? Do you guys have any experience with that?
You broke up a little bit. Back up a little bit.
Yeah, no, I was somebody in the chat, Mike Hunt was asking. Yeah. Do you guys have any experience with that or any knowledge about tannins?
Not on the scientific level, personally.
I was trying to read it and I had to read his name like 9 times. I saw him in a chat the other day. Thanks, Mike. And I can't get over the name. I know.
Basically, there's a few things going on, and I think that one is
nothing at all.
One is that dropping the pH of the tank.
Yeah.
And a lot of people's water is hard, not soft, majority. And this is the problem with advice, is that my water, I'm a water geek. His water is 50 TDS more than mine, and we live a few miles apart. You understand? So it's a water house to house is different. And so giving somebody advice and saying, well, it drops the pH. Well, if you have really soft pH, there's other benefits to it. It's kind of like aloe. It's helping it's helping the gel coat of the fish be more resistant to infections and kind of building it up. And that's why a lot of people like to use stress coat on a water change, because it's kind of like building up the mucous membrane on the fish. But they have to understand it's happening because you're agitating it. So you have to agitate the fish in order to make it make more mucus to protect its skin even more. So
when I was younger, we get fish from overseas, learning more. Chunks of aloe that would come from overseas in the fish bags.
Yeah. So there's all different things that people have done, and unfortunately there's not a whole lot of like true scientific testing. But I think that when you're dealing with more stuff that's like bacterial infections on the surface of the fish, that's where I think tannin benefit are. But it all depends on the type of fish you keep. The fish you keep come from that kind of water. Of course, they're going to benefit and thrive in that kind of water. So but your fish very well could be adapted, and that I'm a big preacher of stability is more important than a number. So
nature's medicine.
So people come to Florida. We have super hard water with not very high pH, and they buy a fish from the fish store, and then they go online and then they read that the fish needs super soft water and a low acidity pH. And meanwhile, this fish has been bred for years in this water structure. That fish is going to struggle before it levels off.
Yeah.
and so like to understand the physiology of it is like better to try and keep the fish there. And if you're going to make those moves that they're so slow and gradual, and people don't want to hear that, oh, it took me 3 months to lower the tank, but that's how you're not going to ever hurt a fish. And that's how like seasonal changes in the water are, they're not that rapid. So you could do that kind of stuff and have peace of mind. I did my best.
Are you in Florida, Mike? Mike's in Florida, huh?
Right. Yeah. And that's the point. You could be in northern Florida and your water be totally different. You can keep a lot different fish than we could down here, just out of the tap, and breed and stuff like that. So it depends, and then you do guys like me where I go RODI so I can control my water, so I can do whatever I want. You gotta remake
it. Yeah. It's just so technical, but yeah, right out of the tap, a little dechlorinator, I'm good to go. I use a little bit of alder cones and maybe some oak branches from the trees outside. I literally go clip them. I'll use that in my water, like for my epistles and stuff like that.
And I have jackfruit imported from Utah.
Mike's in Utah.
Yep. But my every single one of my tanks is Purigen in it. I'm actually right now I'm gonna do a little Purigen video. I've let one tank go for a while. The bow front net's teeing up, and then I'm gonna put a thing of, and the wood has been in there 3.5 years. So tannins just don't go away; they just reduce, right? So now it's gotten kind of brown. I run Purigen in all my tanks. I run chemical filtration. I run open top tanks. So I'm in a whole different world than him. He's trying to control humidity in a tight room with a bunch of tanks. So everybody's got different demands. He's got a fish room. Mine's in the living room. It's like, everybody's different. So which I think that we can all bring different perspectives.
The hobby's very different in itself, because whereas you're keeping an aquascape tank, he's trying to breed fish. It's totally different the way you're going to go about it. The approach you're going to have.
Yeah. And just, and like little hacks, like this tank, we had to do I don't know if we lost you there.
Might have.
Yeah, probably. I can see you guys, but I don't know if it's me.
There he is.
Are you back?
Yeah.
Not really.
Yeah, I don't know whose end it is, but I can still see you guys. You guys are pausing on my end.
Oh, did we lose you?
Maybe I wonder if they can still hear us though.
Yeah, they could.
I can hear you.
I don't know.
We'll talk shit about him.
No, don't drop the S-bomb. Dang.
Sorry.
Okay, he's back. He's alive. He's moving. Hey.
Yeah, no, yeah.
So,
I can hear you guys.
I don't know, where did we lose you
and
there?
Everything. Yeah, I know. I can see you and hear you guys. I don't know what's going on.
Oh, yeah, you're great.
Yeah, but you wouldn't be the first one to talk shit on me either, so it's okay.
We were doing this tank, and like he said, we're gonna tear it down. Like, I'm not gonna fill this thing with aquascape with the 60 aquasoil with the 60 breeder, and we're not trying to have a heavy, dense planted tank. So it's spot filled with aquasoil in the places I want to do planting. So he's got a couple of cups of soil. So like just sharing tricks like that, so people can build something really nice and not feel limited. Yeah, and then we're gonna have to one day touch into dirt tanks. Like, where do you stand on dirt tanks? It's like a line in the sand with people in the hobby.
Father fish tanks.
Yeah, father fish tanks.
Check that out.
But
he started one of our clubs that we're in.
Yeah, just north of us. Yeah. That's his shop is there. Like, so it's like there's local fame, just in our area too. So yeah. But just sharing tips and stuff like that. How can you have fun in it and still be affordable? So
no. Join a fish club.
You get a friend that's into fish, and then you get a friend that's into plants, and then that covers everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, no,
it does.
It's that's what I kind of
at that fish tank because we keep talking about it.
Yeah.
That's what I kind of envy about you guys out there, and especially like in southern Florida. You guys seem to have, a lot of. Oh, they froze on my end. Are they frozen? Who's freezing? Is it my end or their end? Oh, there you are.
You were chopping up during that. I couldn't hear.
Sorry.
You.
Yeah, no, that's fine. I was saying that's the one thing that I envy the most about you guys down there in South Florida is that you guys have all these different clubs, all these different resources as a content creator. I think it's it's pretty cool.
Yeah, and I mean, I think it was 2 years ago there was an Aqualust, down here, and I think on the East Coast.
Too, yeah.
So we're very lucky. We're very fortunate just to have that experience, not have to travel that far. For us, even just locally, like the one guy says he knows Rick. Rick has been. He gives talks,
Awesome.
he's in the circuit, he's a super knowledgeable guy, super nice guy, just moved, down here. So it's, I think kind of being here, everybody moves to Florida, and I'm from New York. It was my natural progression to come down. And so needless to say, a lot of people, it's a melting pot of all different parts of the country here, like a slogan around here. Where are you from? Because nobody's from here.
Yeah.
So, that also brings a huge diversity to this area. And we've been just so lucky with having a lot of people that have in the hobby for a very, very long time.
Oh yeah. It's awesome.
We've got a guy in the club that is literally pouring club soda into his tank, and he grows some monster plants. I mean, you understand? So it's like, but there's something to be learned from him. So I'm gonna have to. I don't think we'll ever get him on TV, on video. But I think that it's just being able to get his experience from fish keeping and being able to share that information with the world is where we want.
Yeah, it's amazing. Yeah, Doc.
Yeah, Doc.
I don't use CO2,
and we even call him Doc
in my tank.
So yeah.
But he doesn't necessarily. The nice thing about having the podcast, if you do the podcast format, is you don't have to have video as long as you can have the recording, the audio recording.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, like you said, the idea, and even behind when I've done these, is, and I've heard it a lot, is they like to play them in the background while you're working in the fish room. So if it doesn't have a lot of visual interaction, it's real easy to do that, because then you're not having to step away from what you're doing. Oh, I want to go see what they're doing.
I don't want to put a YouTube on the TV for 5 minutes, because I got to come back in 5 minutes and select the video. So you're going to listen too long. And there's a lot of that. And I really do like, I'm into the education format, so I really do enjoy it in that aspect. So, for me to watch something for an hour and maybe pull a few golden nuggets out of it is great for me. And a lot of times, like, I'll be at work and just on my headphones, my earbuds, working and listening to a podcast and, learning about something. And a lot of times, like, I've watched a lot of videos about blackbeard algae, like, how do you deal with that? And what it was is that I did a video on it, and it's the compiling of all the information. And one thing that a lot of people did not talk about, and it wasn't until I went through so many of the same things that I pulled the nugget, was they're talking about waste organics, and that BBA is a filter feeder, and there's all these reasons why that we're having issues with it. It's not just one thing. And so this is like the great education point of all I'm doing is taking my collective knowledge of spending a lot of time educating and then trying to condense it and reshare it. So that's, a lot of what we're doing here.
I just want to have an excuse to talk about fish more.
Yeah. This is true.
Now, on your guys' podcast, are you guys gonna? It seems right now that it's usually on Thursdays when you guys will release your videos. Are you guys gonna stick to that, or it's more?
The problem is that I don't want to just put something out to put something out.
Yeah.
I don't see the value in taking people's time and bringing them a product that isn't worth it. Like, today we're going to talk about goldfish. They like cold water.
That's why
that, and then 5 minutes of your time wasted, because it's really not a whole lot to talk about until you got into really specific things.
Yeah, that's why I brought up. Like, that's what we'll do. We'll do lives and just kind of do those, and then instead of making them long and drawn out, then Bill. See edits. We'll take them and make the videos like we had. Definitely.
But like
a live format.
But with the idea of
podcast style too.
What we also want to build is a library, an educational library of fish species. So we have to make videos because you can't do that in a live format. We need to have an idea of the fish and talk about the fish, and then we want to show the fish, and then if all possible, give credit to or interview the person who made the fish. And
100%.
so like, so that, so we'll always have the video. We just want to get comfortable enough with doing this that we could do lives and it be fun, and if it's not fun, neither one of us are doing it, so yes. And we joke around, and I love dad jokes, and we do all that fun stuff, so it's definitely something where we want to just hang out with like-minded people and laugh and have fun and talk about stuff about the industry, but the educational standpoint of highlighting a certain fish that he has here just for your education, but possibly to buy, so it's and then that video will age and it'll be around forever, so that fish will no longer be for sale, but that information, that education will be there. And that's what we're really striving for, put that library together, help people better enjoy the hobby and bring a collective knowledge.
That's all we can ask for or hope.
Yeah. So eventually lives, but not yet.
Yeah, that would be also really interesting to do if you do those videos where you're talking about the person that's bred and stuff like that, and then eventually also have them on after you guys have done the video as a. Oh, am I frozen?
Can they hear that, or is it only us?
No, we can hear you.
I don't know who's. Yeah, but you were chopping up. I was like, I was waiting for it to level off.
Yeah, no, we can definitely hear you guys. We can see you and hear you.
I was wondering if they can hear you to being choppy
because I was losing you. I couldn't hear you.
Yeah. Yeah, no. What I was saying, I think what would be really interesting is if you do those videos where you're highlighting the person that's bred them and talk about that, and then also be able to bring them on for a live. Whereas, as what I'm getting at is, I can watch the video. I know I'm going to get questions. You bring them on as a live guest. Now here's my opportunity to ask those questions.
And it will live on as an educational point, and that is, a lot of it, like, having the people in our club, come in and just hang out with us and do it and like, we've got people going to school for what is Eddie going?
A geologist.
Yeah.
So geologist, biology.
So biology, all about fish, and so just to have him on, like, and just tell people, like, hey, we're gonna have, like, a really smart fish guy on. If you have really hard fish questions, that would be great, and it's great because we want to share that local resource. And, like yourself, like, yeah, I've had this problem with this fish and this and that. Mm-hmm. And, with technology and, I've been trying to figure out a way how we can increase that interaction, because, like, a lot of, like, you need to see it type of scenarios, and in a live that could be really hard. So, maybe answering some of the hard questions is going to always be for video.
That's a good idea.
But the idea right now is if we can just bring in people like Rick, what's Rick's specialties?
Rick's just being smart.
Rick's just smart, and Anthony is a master breeder.
Let's be smart.
We've got other really old school plant guys, that were doing it before we had aqua soils available and all that, So I think that there's a lot to do. So it'll be fun. It's definitely gonna be a fun journey as we go through all this.
Yeah, I look forward.
Yeah, I agree. I'm really looking forward to it. Apparently, even people here in the chat are commenting that they really enjoy hearing you guys talk about what you're doing. So I think you guys are gonna. I really think you guys are going to have a lot of success, and I'm looking forward to that. And I'm looking forward to whatever projects you guys bring on. Again, I just wanted to say thank you so much for accepting the invitation. I know sometimes I come off kind of weird because I'm kind of aggressive when I start trying to bring guests on, and some people have inclusively said is a little bit stalking because I'll dig in until I can find a way to contact somebody.
Well, you were an Aqualust subscriber a long time ago. Yeah. And then when this came up and Mexicali Fish Keeper asked me to do this, I'm like, oh, he's one of my subs. He was one of the OG. He was in the beginning.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
But it was in real struggle street, So, but appreciate always the support, and I think what you're doing is amazing where you're
Yeah.
basically interviewing everybody doing fish on YouTube.
The
and it's
plug.
like, the plug is just a great. I listen a lot to your stuff while I'm working, just because like what you're saying, it's like I just want to hear what people have to say, and sometimes you just get some real gems. Reverse respiration, go find it.
It's pretty
Like that's
cool.
my nugget for everybody.
It's pretty cool, you guys.
Yeah, and then I really appreciate everything you've brought to the hobby recently too. It's been really great.
Well, what I like about the plug is that it allows me to go and find new content creators, because it doesn't mean that necessarily everybody that's doing stuff out in on the internet is for everybody. But once in a while, you come across these gems, and it's like, oh, I'm so glad that not only am I being able to discover them, but now I can share them with the rest of the people. Like,
I can't believe I didn't know that. Or where were you my whole life situation?
It's like recently I came across this young man from Canada, and that kid has got something very special going on, and he's got to be in his preteens or early teens, but you can tell it's somebody that grew around family members that had a fish room, more than just an aquarium. I mean, they've been very active in the hobby, and but not only that, not only does he have the knowledge, he has all the personality in the world, which is like, very few people are able to do that, where they have that ability to not only have the information, but also be very likable on camera. And so that was really neat. That's kind of one of those things where it's like, oh man, I am so glad I came across this.
And it's, it's great because you're bringing people to me that I've never heard before, and I'm looking at their channels, like they've got a lot of great content, so I really love that because we're trapped by what's being suggested to us, it's like, and he's been just in my relationship with him, like about YouTube, he talks about a channel and I'm like, who? And it's somebody he's been watching a long time, so because our different interests are going to steer us in different directions, we're getting fed different things. So I love it for the simple fact that I'm being exposed to a lot more stuff that I wouldn't naturally seek out. So you're bringing me, there's probably some guy it's all into fish breeding, and then he's going to see our new video and how we have a breeding tank but also decorated, so it's a pleasure. And that's why we keep doing this, because I haven't seen it in like 2 weeks since I set it up and it was all cloudy, and I keep looking at it.
Yeah, it's so cool, and the fish keeps swimming. Yeah, it's got to be a better way to do this, go live, than have all these damn fish tanks around. I have really cool fish in here, so
that's what we're gonna work on, is more shots, just like showing people around the fish room. It's not a very big place, that's why he calls it the shed, but it's a nice room. We got a lot of tanks in here, but really just to get him in front of some of the tanks and some of the fish. I mean, everybody needs to see these fish in here. Just even just the tank tour. Like, I think that's kind of like, that's a video we'll have to do, is the tank tour, and you're gonna have to set some time aside because it's gonna be long.
Yeah.
Well, like I said, I'm looking forward to see what you guys bring for us, and just thanks. Thank you so much for accepting and being here. And even though it took a little bit of work to get it done, I'm so happy it finally did. I haven't forgot about you, Bill. We're going to have you on because I definitely want to talk to you about your channel. But I wanted to do this because it's harder to get all three of us together than it would be each individually.
Absolutely. And just, busy lives, trying to put 3 schedules together was a challenge, and I'm happy that we were eventually able to do this, and it's worked out really well.
Oh yeah, definitely. When we get down to podcast format and whatnot, we're gonna have you.
We're gonna have you on, and we're gonna interview you.
I want to.
You're up
I
next.
want to find out all the different people you've interviewed.
Yeah, you're an interesting.
There's a lot of people.
There's a lot
of people. I know I'm coming up on 100. The next one, it will be 100 of these episodes. Now, there's a whole other catalog where I was doing it with a friend of mine, and but it was under a different channel, which was Fish Planet Timas, and we got to interview a whole bunch of other people there too. We did it for about a year and a half. So yeah, I've been very fortunate. I know there's a friend of mine here, Aquafunk, that he goes, who don't you know? I said, I don't know. I know a lot of people because I've spent purposely going out and looking for people. And it was so funny because recently I was in Texas, visiting family, and I went to go do a store tour, and I ended up going. I hooked up with another content creator, new local Austin, Mike, and we went and did the store tour. Turned out that one of the guys that was working there is somebody else that I've had on as a guest. And then while we were doing this the tour, I found another content creator. It's a smaller channel that I had put on the plug, which is Our Little Fish Room. And it was Rob, and it's like, hey, Rob, and he was kind of surprised that I knew who he was, but that's because I had been watching his content. And it's getting to that point now where more and more often I'll find people that I've either spoken about their channel or I've had them on as a guest, and that's always fun.
A lot.
It makes it fun because that way when you go to places, you go, oh, I'm in this city, maybe I can reach out to so and so and we can do something together. So it's gotten to that point now where there's a lot of places I can go.
It's great.
And
I mean,
and find somebody.
And that's a great resource, because then when I have something tough and a really good, I know that I could pass a question through you and you could put it out to your circle.
Yeah, that's huge.
And that's what I think the philosophy going forward is really great. So overall, we're just trying to find the people that are really want to be helpers and share information, now we know that, we're now friends, and now we can share information with each other and help each other along to have a great, enjoyable hobby.
Definitely. And just in case you guys, I don't know if you guys are familiar with Fish Fan Link. This is them here. It's actually a resource for us content creators, especially in the fish community. You can go there. It's free. You put in all your channel information and stuff like that. And when you go live, it'll send out a notification for the people that have the app, because they also have an app, and it'll notify people, even though they're not subscribed to your channel. It'll send out a notification let them know that you're going live. So whenever you release a video, it'll give you notification. There's a bunch of other stuff that I
wanted to send a thing to our fish club that we're going to do.
Yeah. So like, and that's great. And that's the golden nugget I'm going to take away from this today, is that, and that in itself, it's like, I think that the people watching don't really understand how hard it really is to make videos on YouTube, and that you think it's easy, go try one, and that, you want to put something good together, and it want to be entertaining, and they want it to hit all the numbers and everything that's in your head. It's not that easy. And just to put yourself out there and get in front of it, I'm that type. It's not a problem for me, but I give Jody, credit for getting in front of the camera. It's tough, and I appreciate you and all the work that you're putting in to kind of bring that all together. And that's a great resource for us, because that'll help us get the information out to more people. And we want people to share our information, share our content, to, even if it's just they learned it from us and they've repeated it in their thing. That's what we want. We want the betterment of the hobby.
Yeah, and hopefully we pass on good information.
Yep.
Right on.
With that being said, I want to thank everybody that was joining us. I know now they're starting to do live videos from the Clash, so I won't be on here very much longer, so you guys can go hang out with them. But again, thank you to you. Thank you to the people in the chat for the constant support, and we'll see you in the next one. You guys take care.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.